Do y'all think that the better team won, or was this just a bad game?
They got a cloud hanging over their head.
You execute when you're supposed to execute, and we didn't do that. They were the better team in that game.
Welcome to Pigskins and Pageantry. The weather is getting downright aggressive outside right now. So grab a hot beverage, wrap yourself in your favorite blanket, and let's talk about SEC football. Jesse, how are you?
Very chilly. We had some snow flurries in Atlanta today, which
Yeah,
Wow.
what the heck?
I know. I know. It was
I was
wild.
unaware of this. Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. They didn't stick, but they were certainly there. But you know what? We're doing well. We're doing well. Anytime we beat LSU, it's a good week.
Matt?
Listen, I had the week off, so I've been enjoying a nice hot cup of Earl Grey.
Nice.
Football, what's that? Don't even know what football is. Not concerned about football. We're a basketball school now, remember?
Those
Oh,
those weekends are nice where you can just sort of relax and watch other people freak out about their teams.
Although
So,
it was kind of a meh week as far as football goes, with a couple of exceptions, but not
yeah.
the most exciting week of football we've had.
Yeah, we'll talk about a couple of those that are a little bit more exciting here. All right, so let's talk about Georgia at Mississippi State. Georgia won this one 41-21. Matt got the point here. Um, when Mississippi State scored first, I was totally expecting that. And I was fully expecting this game to be close, just like that pretty much all of them have been this year. But it was nice to finally breathe easy in the second half of a game for a change, because that Georgia offensive line just dominated the line of scrimmage, 303 total rushing yards, and then the Georgia defense played lights out too. So, in the course of the game, Blake Shapen got hit pretty good on one of the plays. Landed on that shoulder kind of awkwardly. They did say he could have returned, although he would have been, I think, pretty limited. So we're hoping that he recovers quickly for that one. So, Matt, let's go to you first on this one. What were your thoughts?
I think this is a classic example of Georgia taking care of business. Let's be honest here. This is a Mississippi State team that's been pretty good, decent, Midland. I don't know which category we fall them into, depending on the week, I guess. But State's been kind of scrappy in spots, so there was a chance that maybe they were going to be, competitive in this one. But when you give up almost 600 yards of offense and your defense is, kind of lights out on the other end of the ball, it's not a very good recipe for Mississippi State to find a way to upset Georgia here. So nothing too shocking. 181 yards for Frazier on the ground's quite a few. And in fact, we'll talk a little bit more about the offensive production when we get to our helmet stickers here in a little bit. But pretty big win for Georgia. I feel like this sets them up pretty good going into next week. We'll have to wait and see. Where we end up as far as that goes. But if I'm a George fan, like I know you are, Wes, I'm definitely not. You're probably feeling pretty good about yourself.
Yeah, this definitely could have been a trap game. I expected it to be played as such. But Jesse, what were your thoughts on it?
yeah, I think Georgia's defense was obviously dominant. I mean, there was that slow start with the offense, but the defense got it done. They finished with 3 sacks and 6 tackles for a loss. So, they were able to force a fumble. It's just it seemed like a well put together defensive performance from Georgia. And then we obviously talked about Nate Frazier, and we'll talk about that more as we get to helmet stickers, as Matt said. But it was, I think, and we'll learn more tomorrow, a significant performance as far as it goes for CFP rankings. Obviously, they should have beat Mississippi State if we're looking at rankings, and just talent overall. But like you said, it could have very easily been a trap game. We've seen a lot of teams this season fall to trap games, and Georgia got it done.
Yeah.
If I could piggyback on that real quick, I mean Georgia has had some issues this year with playing. And again, this is the old Mark Richt adage, playing down a little bit when they play teams that are obviously inferior than they are, but they didn't look inferior. They didn't look like they had trouble with that in this one.
Yeah. So hopefully that bodes well for next week. Next is Texas A&M at Missouri. A&M won this one 38-17. Jesse got the point here. Like this was just a tough position to put Matt Zollers in, freshman Matt Zollers in, because Mizzou they played good defense overall, I thought, but I mean they were just overpowered and they couldn't keep up on offense, and this game eventually got away from them because of that. So I mean, really, if I wanted to put that in a nutshell, that's what I'd say, because there really wasn't a lot they could do in the broad scheme of things in this one. Jesse, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, this one was, we just talked about trap games, and a lot of hype is now being put on the Aggies. Like we said before, they were kind of sneaking around, but now they're starting to get the respect. And so this one could have very well have been a trap game for them. But they, I think, strengthened their case as far as their rankings go and why they should be looked at and respected. Part of their dominance was certainly their ground attack. They rushed for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 39 carries, averaging 6.2 yards per attempt, and 7 different players recorded a carry. So that's a good day on the ground. And speaking as a fan of a team that has not gotten the ground game going, good on you. But I think this was certainly another feather in their cap, and one that people would probably respect a little bit more because it is Missouri. And I'm very interested to see how Texas A&M continues on this season, because they're putting together some pretty complete football games here.
Yeah. Matt, what's your thoughts on it?
I I feel so awful for Drinky. It makes my heart hurt a little bit. I was really hoping that Toughness Tuesday would result in a win for them, or wind up the wagons Wednesday, or um, thank you, Wes. But in all seriousness, folks, tip your waitress. It's obviously that A&M's got some guns, and lots of them. A&M, 4 weeks ago, I was like, A&M ain't played anybody. I'm not sold. I'm starting to get sold, because when you're able to take care of things, it's usually pretty indicative that the team's doing what they're supposed to. If they can finish strong, if they can finish the season and get over to that Texas hump, which we'll talk about in a little bit, if they can get over that Texas hump, then they've got a real chance here to make a splash when we get to the playoffs. That Marcel Reed KC Concepcion connection is hot fire right now. Like,
Hmm.
Concepcion has 4 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown, one of which was like a big 48-yard touchdown pass. Like, the kid's good, and if you can get him into open space, he's even better. Both, again, if you can keep that tandem intact, then you can start going to those other things and lean on the run game and start really opening up. I've been really impressed with what we've seen at A&M the last 2 or 3 weeks. So here's hoping that they can continue to build on that. But yeah, like we're going to talk about a little bit later, that Texas game, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Let's move to Auburn at Vanderbilt. Vandy won this one 45-38. I got the point here. And I think this game went exactly as we predicted, right? An offensive shootout back and forth all the way beyond the wire. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's an amazing game by Pavia. You look at his stats there: 377 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns, 112 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Just unreal numbers there. But how about Auburn finding offense after Hugh Freeze, the quarterback whisperer, left, and DJ
Hmm.
Durkin, a defensive guy, is interim coach? It's like we're living in the upside down right now. It just doesn't make any sense. But I did think that the final play call for Auburn in overtime was a bit odd. And Matt, you and I talked about that. We were watching this game together. It was where they basically just kind of threw the ball up for grabs. But
Yep.
whatever. I don't really know. It was very strange, a very strange ending to that game. But Matt, what were your thoughts on this game?
Listen, and we'll come back to that last play in just a second. Ashton Daniels played out of his gourd in this one. 31 for
Hmm.
44 for 2 touchdowns and a 353 yards in the air, and then he also had 89 rushing yards and 2 TDs in this game. Again, that is a performance that could potentially get you a helmet sticker, as we'll see later. Just where was this all season? Like, Auburn really could have used this earlier in the season, and we talked about it, Wes. I guess using Hillsong for your warm up during stretches isn't the way to go. Poor Hugh Freeze was sitting on a gold mine, and he could not tap it. And
Oh
Vandy
man.
finds a way to win this thing. I really wish on that last play, Wes, we talked about it when we were watching the end of the game. All he does is two drops, two step drop, and then a little fade into the corner. I'm
Yeah.
like, why not roll him out of the pocket and like try to catch somebody on a cross route? And if there's nothing there, he could put his head down and try to get in the end zone. Like
Right.
the cat had 4 touchdowns. He could put it on the money or get it into the end zone. Like give him a chance. And that play
Right.
call was just it was not a good one. Not a good
A
one.
very odd on the one for all the marbles. A very
Yes.
odd play call.
Yes, it was very pedestrian. Like if that's your call on like second and goal, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, fine. But like not like fourth and goal, you got to score. The game's over. Like it was just kind of iffy. I mean, kudos to Vanderbilt because I mean Vanderbilt didn't actually get what was the final. I think that Vanderbilt scored literally right at the last second, right? Or maybe it was Auburn that scored at the last second.
Yeah,
I
this
don't
one was
remember.
back and forth.
It was
Back and
back and
forth.
forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I mean, it was one of the yeah. Vanderbilt was down. No, Auburn was down by 8 with 4 minutes left in the game. So I mean, this was a really good game. This is one of the bright spots from this week.
Hmm.
Just I wish that play call at the end had been different.
Jesse, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, the start of the game wasn't great for Vandy. It seemed like they were a little bit gassed. And then, of course, towards the end of the game, and we talked about it before, it seemed like Pavia, and you look at a stat line, was just trying to do everything himself. He had that slipping fumble, towards the end of regulation time. And to me, I was like, you gotta get somebody else involved. You're trying to do too much. Just ask for help. It's okay to ask for help.
Right.
We know that, and that's fine.
I can
But
get you the help.
we can get you help. But he doesn't seem to ask for it. And whatever. I mean, he's a talented guy. He obviously his stat line speaks for itself. But I think what Vanderbilt did was they put up a really big fight against Auburn's defense. And Auburn hasn't had a super successful season. We know that, but they hadn't given up more than 25 points in any or 24 points in any game this season. And by the 14-minute mark of the fourth quarter, Vanderbilt had 31 points in the lead. So they were doing the right things. And Vanderbilt, their defense obviously needed to take care of business. We talk about their offense all the time, but it was an interesting game. I think Auburn's offense had been pretty bottled up prior to this Saturday, but they seemed to kind of turn it on. And Vanderbilt certainly, they gave Daniels way too much time, I think, and that was part of it. And they need to do a little bit better on pass rush, but overall, I think if you're Auburn, you're feeling a little bit better because you're starting to see that, oh, maybe we do have some talent here. And maybe if we get the right person in, we can make something happen. Vanderbilt continues to keep on keeping on. I don't know how long Diego Pavia can continue to try to do it all, but I'm sure he's going to keep on trying.
Yeah. DJ Durkin was playing some Beastie Boys during practice this week or something. I don't know. Something to get him energized. But let's move to LSU at Alabama. Bama winning this one 20-9. I got the point here. For a little bit, Jesse, I don't know if you had flashbacks, but this one looked like it might be the repeat of that field goal game that Bama and LSU had a while back.
Yeah, 2011. I was there. I've never exited the stadium that fast in my entire life.
Yeah, well, this looked like it was going to have shades of that for a little while, but then Bama quickly expanded on the lead enough to put the game out of reach and of an LSU team that's just really struggling right now. And in a desperate attempt to get that struggling offense going, interim LSU head coach Frank Wilson benched Garrett Nussmeier in the third quarter
Oh,
to give not Martin, Michael Van Buren Jr. The transfer from Mississippi State a shot. So I'm not sure if
Wes,
there's a
that's the first time that Martin Van Buren's name's ever been said in like 80 years. Like
or
legit.
any sports podcast.
if they say
Ever.
Yeah.
definitely in the context of
Guarantee
college
that's
football, the first time ever.
guarantee that's a
So
first.
I'm not sure if there's a quarterback controversy at Baton Rouge, but it'll be interesting to see how that competition goes the rest of this season. Because, look, Van Buren didn't like light things up, but it seemed like there was a little bit of a spark there that we may not have seen with Nussmeier. Certainly, plays that he could make with his legs that Nussmeier could not. So, Jesse, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, the beginning of it wasn't great. As you mentioned, it was giving 2011 the first time we played, not the second. And
Right.
it was triggering to all of those that attended that game. We were starting to feel a little bit unwell. And it it was reinforcement that on any given Saturday, I don't care who you are, I don't care if you've lost your coach, if you have no coach, whatever it may be, if you're a rival, you're going to show up. It just it doesn't matter. I think Alabama's offensive line has just consistently shown improvement. Obviously, when we played the first game of the season against Florida State, it was woof. Caden Proctor's pass protection and his footwork has improved a lot since then. I think our offensive line is just doing a lot more for Ty Simpson to give him time to read the LSU defense. And that was good. I mean, this was certainly not Ty's best game. I don't think any Alabama fan will tell you that. He had a lot of time to read the defense, but he still waffled a little bit. And LSU was able to get one sack and force a fumble. But overall, we needed Ty because, as I mentioned earlier in the show, we haven't been able to get the run game going. And that is still something that I think we're struggling with. We had to rely on Ty and the passing game because we just don't have an identity on the ground. We ran for 56 yards, 2.2 yards per carry and one touchdown. And we're continuing to struggle. I think Jam Miller, we want to get him going, but he hasn't looked completely healthy since he's come back from injury. Daniel Hill, he was a factor, but he only rushed for 83 yards all season as he was entering the game on Saturday. So I'm just not sure what the problem is. I don't know if it's just our offensive line isn't holding, and sustaining blocks long enough for our guys to hit the holes. I don't know. We're not getting a lot of chunk yardage. We're just getting like little dings here and there. And it seems like defenses are able to close those holes pretty quickly. So that's something that I still am anxious for us to put together because we can't go into the playoffs without having that figured out. LSU, it was certainly interesting to watch them bench Nussmeier. We had a couple benchings. We'll get to it when we talk about Florida. Lagway also benched, but yeah, this one ended up being a good one. It's always great to beat LSU. And I know people are going to say, we don't have our coach and one of the Weeks brothers is out and we had to bench our blah, 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 whatever. It's still a good day.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, your thoughts?
I think Jesse's hit the nail on the head when she's talking about the lack of Bama run game right now. I mean, this is a team that historically has had running backs and really good running backs.
Really good ones.
I mean, they've won that useless piece of metal that the New York Athletic Club gives out every year like 3 times. So, or what, however how many
for running backs.
Whatever. It's still a useless chunk of metal. It's a paperweight. Anyway, but I think that's like the big, like LSU's not great. We've already discussed this. We thought that they were going to be pretty good. It has not panned out. The dream has gone awry, LSU. I'm sorry. But if you're a Bama fan, Jesse obviously has just mentioned this. The alarm bell should be going off a little bit right now because I just pulled up the year stats. Y'all ready for this? Jam Miller's the leading rusher for Alabama right now. He has 88 carries. He has 321 yards total. That's an average of 3.6 yards. And it doesn't get much better than that. The next guy, Kevin Riley, 186 yards on 48 carries. And then, Daniel Hill, we just talked about, 104 yards on 29 carries. You can't win big football games without playing complementary football, both in the air and on the ground. Like, all it's going to take is somebody down the line to really key in on shutting down the pass and trying to get Ty Simpson really uncomfortable and trying to lean on a run game that's not there is going to result in you losing a ball game. So if I'm a Bama fan, I'm probably a little worried about that.
Yeah, and we're very one-dimensional right now.
Yeah, and you can't lean on Ty Simpson against everybody that you're potentially going to see later in the season and then maybe in the playoffs.
1,000%.
Hmm.
Derrick Henry used to have that. Jim Miller's stats for the whole season, Derrick Henry used to have in
Yeah,
one game.
yeah.
It's wild.
Was it the year he won the Heisman? Was it Mississippi State or was it They went to Oklahoma, Mississippi State or Ole Miss? He went off for like 330 yards in one game or something crazy like that, and
Probably
three
state.
TDs. It was some
Yeah, it
crazy.
might have been Ole Miss because I remember a game where they showed a highlight where he had like a 50-yard touchdown run where the same Ole Miss defender missed a tackle like three different times on the
Yeah,
same play.
yeah. Like he's
Derrick
just
Henry is
slicing and dicing people.
he's built different. I mean, if
He
you've
is.
ever seen that man in person, he is quite literally built different.
Right. Very
He
true.
doesn't look like us.
No. Let's move to Florida at Kentucky. I,
What?
I don't know.
I don't.
Kentucky winning this one 38-7. Nobody got the point here. Look, this simply was not supposed to happen. I knew both of these teams were bad, but they were supposed to be like equally bad, right? Where it was going to even out.
Oh.
But not so much. DJ Lagway threw three picks before being benched in favor of freshman Tramell Jones Jr. in the second half. Just an absolute. Look, I know we've talked about Kroger Field is a difficult place to play at night, but this was just an absolute collapse that I don't think anybody could have foreseen on the road for Florida. So, Matt, what was your opinion about this game?
Didn't the three of us last year, going into last year's season, say Florida might be lucky if they win 3 games?
Yeah,
And then they ended up like being halfway decent, and I think they ended up getting into a bowl game. Did they not? Isn't that what happened last year?
I think so. Yeah,
Or
I mean,
got yeah,
well enough to have
but
Yeah,
here's
Napier
it
keep his
was
here's
job.
horrible.
here's my point. You're a year late. That's all this is. Like Florida's 3-6 right now, and a ton of bad losses. The only wins that they have that are worth a dang. I mean, granted, they did beat Texas, uh, but like when you go through it's just Florida's so bad. And
Yeah.
like as me as a Tennessee fan, I'm relishing this because they deserve nothing but the worst. Um, but as a fan of SEC football, like this isn't good. Like we need Florida to be at least moderate to decent. Like just getting blown out by Kentucky is just such a bad look. And I know that they just got rid of Sunshine Billy, bless his heart. I know he's crying into his $100 bills there. But they gotta get it together. They gotta make a good hire with this thing. They gotta find a way. And they showed the stat during the game. Like aside from Steve Spurrier and aside from Urban Meyer, Florida has had nothing coaching
Right.
wise over the last 40, 50 years. Aside from a couple of blurbs here and there, but Florida's in bad shape. If they don't get this hire right, I don't want to say they're dead and buried, but I don't see them being competitive in the SEC going forward unless they find a good hire.
Yeah,
And
and
I guess Stoops gets to keep his job for another week.
I guess so. But yeah, these days it's sort of like either you win and you become an institution, or you lose and it becomes a revolving door of just
Mm.
coach after coach after coach. Jesse, what are your thoughts?
I mean, woof.
Mhm.
Because I'm looking at the stat line too, and I'm like, all right, let's find out where it went wrong. Like how are we on third down? And they weren't great, mind you. Like Florida was 7 for 15, but Kentucky was 8 for 12. It wasn't too much better. Okay, did we have a lot of penalties? No. Florida had 2 penalties, 20 yards.
Did you mention
Not,
turnovers?
there's 4 on each
Because they
side.
had, yeah, eight
There's
total.
4 on each side, y'all.
Sloppy football.
It's just I don't know how to help. I don't know because at this point, like I think Florida's been able to rest on their reputation, the reputation of Spurrier and Urban Meyer, of this is an institution. This is where we play football. We're this blue blood SEC program. This is, where we're going to get it done. And even with the coaches after Urban Meyer, they still won some of those really key games that kept their jobs. Looking at Billy Napier last year. And
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 Napier this
now,
year.
yeah, and this year for a part of it.
The
For a little
Texas.
while. Yeah.
Now I think we're at the point where that's not going to do it anymore. there's no longer going to be recruits that are like, yeah, Florida's been good in my lifetime. No, these are children at this point, and they don't remember Urban Meyer. They don't care. They don't remember those times. So I think we're getting to the point, if Florida doesn't make that big splash of a hire, or it doesn't even have to be a big splash, a successful hire, then it's going to be a long road going forward. And I honestly think we're at the point now too where Stoops is going to keep his job, because I think Kentucky knows that we now have so many key openings across the SEC, across other conferences, that there is no point in firing your coach and hoping you're going to get somebody,
Right.
because there's a lot of competition to get somebody. And like, why not just stay with good enough? Basketball season started, the heat's off of us.
Yeah, if you're Kentucky, you may just want to put that one in your back pocket and
Ride it
hope
out.
maybe next year is less turnover for other coaches and
When's
maybe you can
when
go after
is
somebody.
when is his contract up?
It's a great
I don't
question.
know. It feels like I haven't seen anything in the news about his contract for a while,
I
so it
think
should
he.
be coming up.
He had an extension not long
it,
ago, right?
oh God,
Oh,
Mark,
what? What?
Mark Stoop current contract runs through June of 2031.
Oh
Yeah, when
gosh.
was his last? He signed an extension not long ago, right?
I think it was after they had that 9 or 10 win season.
Mm-hmm. And they were like,
The
keep him on the
21,
payroll.
22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh, that's wow.
if the university fires him without cause, he has a $37 million buyout.
You
Wow,
buy a
that's
lot of bourbon with $37
to
million.
say, especially when you're talking about Kentucky, that's huge.
That's a
He
lot
got
of,
he got he got a contract extension in 22.
yep. Yep. Makes
Okay.
sense.
I guess yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, I think he'll be okay for a little while.
He's not going
Um,
anywhere for at least another year.
No.
yep, the only other one was Citadel Ole Miss. Obviously, Ole Miss blew him out. I got the
Bomb.
point there.
Mhm.
Pick'em standings, I have 34. Jesse's got 29. Matt's got 27.
I thought
Um,
we were closer than this. What happened?
I
we
know.
Oh,
What did
were.
we do?
Wes
I
Wes
think.
got like 5 games this week.
Well, yeah, there
Oh,
weren't but like 6 games total, and I think nobody got the point in one of them. So there's only 5 points to go around. And I think I got three of them. So, um, helmet stickers, Jesse. Who are your helmet sticker recipients?
honestly, both of mine are from A&M, which hurts me physically and emotionally to say.
It's okay.
But
Jimbo's not there anymore. It's got to be a little bit
Jimbo's not
better.
there. It's fine. Elko's fine. Um, and and I know I could have picked Ty Simpson. I think I picked him before, but I wasn't super impressed with our performance this weekend. So going with Cassius Howell, defensive end from Texas A&M. He is on his fourth SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week honor this season. He had 5 tackles, a strip sack, a forced fumble, and a QB hurry. So all in all, a great defensive performance. And we need to talk more about defenses. My other one from A&M is going to be running back Ruben Owens. He was filling in for the injured Le'Veon Moss and had a 100-yard game, scored twice, and that includes a 57-yard sprint to help put them over Eli Drinkwitz and the Mizzou Tigers. So I think A&M had a lot of standouts this weekend, and those were the two I'm giving helmet stickers to.
Very good, Matt. Who are yours?
As much as it's kind of keeping the same vein as Jesse, it pains me to say this. But I think helmet sticker for all of the UGA's offensive line. 0 sacks in the game that they played against Mississippi State. 303 yards of rushing in the game means that you're opening up those holes. If I'm Bama's O-line coach, I'm probably watching tape and figure out why they're so good and we're not. At least in the run game.
They're
And then
finally able to have a consistent O line, actually. So like
right,
the first
right,
5 or 6 games, like a whole different lineup, or
yeah.
for each
Wes,
one.
you better enjoy that because I don't know if you're going to get that again in a couple weeks,
Yeah,
or this week for that matter.
yeah.
Mm. That being said, my second helmet sticker, Ashton Daniels, Auburn quarterback, 353 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, 89 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Kid had a coming out party, and I'm very excited to see what happens going forward with him.
Yeah, I'm still just so confused by that.
I told you they got rid of the Hill song. They played
Yeah,
actual music.
yeah. Yeah.
Not to
May,
say that Hillsong's not music. Please don't cancel me for saying that.
please,
I
so
know
many
that my mom
ats
probably is
in the
watching this and
comments.
she probably is yelling. She's probably calling me right now to say, Matt, don't you talk bad about Hillsong.
That's right. Um, all right. So mine are, first of all, I got Diego Pavia from Vandy. Just obviously, I know we've talked about sometimes he tries to do a little bit too much, but statistically, incredibly impressive. 377 yards in the air, three touchdowns, and then 112 yards on the ground, one touchdown for him as well in that
He's still giving me Manziel vibes. I'm still getting Johnny Manziel vibes,
little
and
bit.
it's not. I don't like it. I don't care for it.
Is it
It's not
because they're
pleasant.
friends?
Are they?
He was all on Vandy's side during the Bama game and talking
Oh,
up Pavia. They are bros, and it checks
Bros.
out.
you know what? Those two like seem like peas in a little fraternity bro pod.
Little two-turn pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crush and bruise and getting in lots of trouble.
Yeah. And then my second one I have to give to Nate Frazier for UGA, 12 carries, 181 yards, which is a heck of an average, and a touchdown. And made all the more impressive when you kind of consider the year that he's had. He had some fumble issues early on this year, and there was a question there for a little while, as to how much he would even play. But he's really had some breakout games lately, including this one, obviously, against Mississippi State. So kudos to him for that. So that does it for our helmet stickers. Right now, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back with our interview of the day. All right, well, we're excited to have Cody on the show once again to talk Texas football. We've had him on the show many times to discuss Texas football, and it just feels right to have him on this week to discuss not only the upcoming game with Georgia, but also to get a sort of a general assessment of Texas season so far. So, Cody, welcome back to the show, sir.
Wes, thank you guys. It's good to see you and Jesse and Matt. I've always enjoyed what you guys are doing with Pigskins and Pageantry. I feel kind of embarrassed that I'm wearing anything but burnt orange right now, but such is life. We carry a busy load and we just do what we can to keep our head above water, right?
Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to
So.
be on brand every single time,
Right.
right? So I have a Baby Yoda Mandalorian shirt on as we speak.
It's too
So
cold for me to wear anything game day related at this point.
yeah,
Fair point.
Not even closely related to cold. This is
right.
the essence of cold, Jesse.
The
This is
essence
cold.
of cold.
Right. We'll blame this on the cold front that moved through East Tennessee today.
There you
Exactly.
go.
There you go.
So turning to Texas football, can you just take us through the journey of being a Texas fan this season, from being the AP preseason number one
Hmm.
to being unranked to now being inside the top 12 with very realistic CFP playoff hopes? What's that roller coaster been like?
How long is our episode today? No, realistic. That's the key word there. I mean, I think that the road that Texas still has to go, but going to Georgia this weekend, and then an Arkansas team. It's a rivalry. Thankfully, we get them at home this year, and then ultimately an extremely talented A&M team that's going to come to Austin. The day after Thanksgiving. To answer your question as briefly as I can, Wes, I think it's just been a roller coaster up and down, almost like a Six Flags over Texas Giant, which, that's been in the news for other reasons. But yeah, you look it up; it's kind of an interesting thing. But anyway, it's been a roller coaster to walk into the season with really and truthfully expectations of we're just going to be a part of the conversation. And even after week one loss to Ohio State, I think everybody was like, oh, we just went on the road with Arch, still in his infancy of starting at Texas, and lost by a touchdown. But then you saw the next 3 weeks, and you could see there were some glaring deficiencies with Texas. And so I think I think the average Texas fan after the loss to Florida kind of just said, "Oh, this season's a wash." But I saw things that I was encouraged by, even in the losing to Florida. and things that they kept building on to where they're at now. Now they're still really far from a finished product, but to go from high expectations to the doldrums of like, oh my gosh, this season is just a waste, to now really and truthfully, if they take it week by week, they still have everything in front of them. It's just been it's been a whirlwind of a ride. So, and I think every Texas fan would agree with that.
Yeah, and something else that's been kind of a whirlwind of a ride has been the play from Arch Manning this season. How would you assess that so far? Obviously, there were a lot of expectations coming into the season. What's your assessment there?
Yeah, great question. I think that, with Arch Manning, I think that there was a lot of internal pressure and external pressure. And I think the internal outweighed the external. I think a lot of what was going wrong with Arch early was, the space between his two ears, and that you could see the mechanics that he even displayed last year just falling apart. And you could see just the rushing and the pressing and making decisions that were, just extremely ill-advised, versus much lesser competition. And I think that Florida woke the whole team up, but even woke Arch up as well. And luckily, they've bounced back from that. And Arch specifically has shown that despite what Texas' season ends like, you've seen a guy who's picked himself up off the ground. I think it was like before the Mississippi State game. Like there's this crazy statistic out that said Quinn Ewers in the total amount of games last year was put on the ground 70 times. Arch Manning has already been put on the ground 70 times, and that was before the Mississippi State game. So that
Wow.
kind of shows you really where a lot of the problem was, is that, yeah, Arch probably felt like he had to speed up because he was having people in his face, before he even really had a time to go through the second or third or fourth read. And that puts a lot of pressure on a young quarterback. The game is already extremely fast. Then your offensive line is having to speed it up for you even more, and it just creates problem on top of problem on top of problem. And luckily, thankfully, Flood and Sark, they've kind of gone through this little like, let's mix and match and find a good mixture of like what's our best five starting line. And I think we've come to a conclusion that we've got some guys there that may not be like their first position, but they're the best athlete at that time, and we need them out there. And you've seen some really promising signs from Texas in the last two games that they played.
What do you think his last name has to do with those pressures? Because I imagine we talked about it a lot. You are a Manning, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're expected to come in there and do, what Eli did, do what Peyton did.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of pressure. So how much do you think his last name and the pedigree influence the amount of pressure and expectations on him?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And I mean, it's like you're the quarterback at Texas, right? So there's going to be that target on your back already. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of weight that comes with that, much like you're the quarterback at Alabama, or the quarterback at Notre Dame. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that position for that team. Then you throw on top of that, Jesse, just like you said, his last name is Manning. He comes from the college football family, right? The factory. There's been this plan that they've talked about. The media is like, oh, well, he's been on this trajectory since he was in the seventh grade to be where he is now, and now is his time. And it just everything to do with, like you said, who he is, who his father is, who his uncles are, who his grandfather is. It has everything to do with it. And it's so easy to hate Arch because of those things. Like, I'm a Texas fan, but if I wasn't a Texas fan, I would probably hate Arch because it's just like he plays for that brand, and he's the quarterback, and he's got a little bit of moxie, and he hasn't played consistent enough to have that attitude. And I would hate on him. I would. And it's easy to hate on already the Texas quarterback, but then you throw in who Arch Manning is because of where he comes from. It's everything.
I feel
So
bad for him, honestly. I don't even hate the because he's a kid, right? Like I think that's what we all forget. We hear the last name
That's
man.
a pretty well paid kid, Jesse. Come
He's
on.
a very well paid kid.
Much-
That kid made more
Child
from
labor child labor usually doesn't pay that well.
right? But he is. You think about the name Manning and you immediately think of the adults
yeah,
and how they are and how they play. And you forget that he's like 19 years old.
yeah,
And I cannot imagine being under that pressure,
yeah.
yeah,
regardless of how many millions I'm getting, which probably just adds to the pressure to want to make serve
right.
them.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to be paid, but that just you're right. That just adds to the plate of pressure. And you think about the normal fan's life. You guys, me, all of our teams, fan bases. How many of us have ever been under that amount of pressure?
God no.
Right? It's kind of foreign to us. We don't understand it. We can't identify with it. So we tend to just go ahead and do the easy thing, and that's just to hate on it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just a natural reaction. So
Cody has a solid point though about the hating thing because I mean I have nothing but pure unadulterated love for the Mannings, at least Peyton, not so much
right,
Eli, but definitely for Peyton.
right.
And he's right that it does kind of give nepo baby vibes a little bit because of what his background is, because of his family, all that. So I mean, Cody's on the money right there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so let's turn our attention to Oklahoma because I know you want to talk about them.
Oh, I'd
But
love
how
to.
how did it feel to beat Oklahoma this year, where there were a lot of voices, a lot of chatter on the outside saying Oklahoma was better, Oklahoma was going to win. I'll be honest, I was one of those voices. I picked Oklahoma to win that
I
game.
think all three of us picked Oklahoma to win that
Yeah,
game.
probably.
Well, thank you guys. Yeah.
So how did that feel?
Yeah. No, it's a rival, right? It's a rivalry. And so anybody who's invested in that rivalry, much like, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, you take that, you take the expectation or what you think is going to happen, and you might as well toss it out the window because you just never know. Um, I looked at the matchup as Texas has a bigger chip on their shoulder than I ever expected them to have at that point of the season. And I think that played into how you saw the physicality play out in the second half. Um, and so it felt it certainly felt gratifying to see Texas, now 3 out of the last 4 years just completely dominate OU. And you'll hear a lot of OU fans say, "Oh, well, we were down, to, you know, Davis, whatever his name was, back and down 9 receivers, and we were just depleted on our roster." And we don't care. You're our rival. We don't care if you have to play a walk-on quarterback. We just know that we beat you, 49-0 and 34-3 and all these, dominating performances. And so it just felt almost like, Sark needed to prove himself. Arch needed to prove himself. Texas's grit and toughness needed to prove itself. And when you take a performance like that in probably the most important game, like I know that Georgia's a huge opponent coming up, and I know A&M's a huge opponent coming up, but when it comes to at least the temperature of rivalries right now, Texas OU is where it's at for Texas. To dominate Oklahoma in the second half like they did just was like almost surprising, but also as equally rewarding as it was surprising. And
Yeah.
I know that Texas would want nothing more than to just keep winning, to keep OU away from any kind of like storybook or Cinderella ending to the season. So as long as Texas keeps winning, they have Oklahoma behind them, which I know is important to Texas.
Right. And speaking of other potential rivals, and I don't know how big the rivalry is between Texas and Texas A&M, but what do you make of what's going on over there at College Station right now? Obviously, they're having a great year, especially in light of the fact that y'all play each other in a few weeks. How are you feeling about them?
You're going to force me to say something nice about A&M West, and I'm not happy about it.
It's a cult. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. No.
Season's changing.
Yeah,
Allergies.
Right.
Excuse me.
Weird. Yeah. Weird how that just comes out. You know, A&M deserves credit. They've had a great season, and Mike Elko has done a wonderful job turning that program around very quickly. The portal helps. You know, that's the great thing about college football and where we're at today. A lot of people, you know, they don't like what the portal's bringing in NIL and all of that world, but it also says, hey, you know what? If you have a team with a few key pieces, then you can really build a competitive roster through the portal in one season, and that's what A&M's done. They've really put themselves in a prime position to be a player at the end of the season. Now, what I continue to say is, I'm just waiting for A&M to do what A&M does, and I won't say the word, but crap the bed. They always do something at the end of the season to just realize, okay, at the end of the day, you're still Texas A&M Aggies, and this season might be different. However, unfortunately for Texas A&M, they are coming to Austin, and barring some major injury on either side, if things all play out equally as they are, I am still going to say that Texas will beat A&M the day after Thanksgiving in Austin to ruin A&M's at least regular season hopes of, you know, maybe being undefeated, maybe keeping them out of the SEC. I don't know. It depends on what, Alabama does or Ole Miss does. I don't know how it's all going to shake out. But Texas would want nothing more and would just relish the opportunity to have A&M come to Austin and have them once again reminded that you're still a little brother in the state of Texas.
nice. So there's been a lot of talk about this, and you're probably sick of hearing it by now, but are there any legitimate worries about Sark that there's tons of rumors he might leave for the NFL, wherever. Do you think there's any truth to that? Do you worry about that? What do you think?
Great question, Wes. I think that as I think Sark said it best in his own words. He said, that's a sign of a successful program. When you have a program that's winning, you have a culture that's thriving, and you have a coach that is steering the ship, and the NFL is showing interest, or there's rumors are being talked about, or agents are putting out filler. That's a sign of a good program, and that's a compliment to where Texas is. Ultimately, if Sark were to surprise, and I think it would be a surprise because I don't see him leaving for the NFL this year. I think that if he were to leave, I think it would be post Arch. I think that Arch is his. I think it's his. Like Quinn was his boy. I think Arch is definitely Sark's like calling card of like success, because this will be a quarterback that he has brought through the program from start to finish.
Right.
And if Arch ends his career next year in a high note, maybe a first round pick, maybe even a top overall pick, I think that would be the more likely scenario that Sarkisian would leave. If he surprises and left this year, I honestly, I would be excited for what Texas had to like for the future. I think what Sark's done has been awesome to bring Texas from you know, a desert to now we're in the oasis of two back-to-back college football playoffs. We're in the conference title talk in November, mid-November, so we're still having some really good success. We owe a debt of gratitude to Sark, and I wouldn't want Sark to leave, but if Sark does leave, I would be extremely excited to see where Texas goes, because unlike your Penn States, Floridas, or whoever else you want to throw in the mix of the craziness of the college coaching carousel that's going to happen here shortly, if there was an opening like Texas because of Sark, being successful and going to the NFL, and I don't think he would go as a coordinator. I think he'd have a head coaching position. I think that the head coach of Texas and NFL offensive coordinator are almost like a lateral position for Sark at this point. So I think he would. I think he would take a head coach. So if that happened, I would be very interested to see who would be tier one for Texas. And I think that they'd make a huge splash. So I don't see it happening, Wes, but I also know that if that were to happen sooner than I thought, I think Texas would be fine.
Yeah, the carousel is already insane right now, so
The
that would
NFL have joined the group chat at this point as well. Brian Daboll's been fired, so
right.
it's spreading and it's
Wow.
happening.
Just for
Yeah.
the love of everything holy, don't go to the Titans, Sark. Don't do it. You don't want to put
Oh,
that don't
oh
put that
no,
voodoo on yourself. Don't
no.
do it. Don't
He's
do it.
already been to the NFL once. He left us. He came back.
Yeah.
Just say, and I guarantee you at this point, because there are so many openings and there's just nobody that's a front runner. Lane Kiffin's not going anywhere. Okay. We already know that now.
They got
But
that contract extension.
contract extension and Nick Saban's not coming out of retirement. So at
No.
this
You hope.
I think Texas
You hope.
no, Miss Terry won't allow it. I think at this point,
Miss Terry likes the catering. We got word of that. They may back up the truck.
yeah,
I'm just picturing
no.
he and Miss Terry having a conversation at home and him just like mulling over ideas and going, you know what would
Yeah.
be really funny?
No, Miss Terry would say, you have to vacuum on Wednesdays now. There's no more time for press conferences. Absolutely not. And we have lunch every Friday, so no, sir. And he would say, yes, ma'am.
Can you imagine being a fly on the wall during that
Oh
conversation?
man.
I would live for it
Like
because
you have the greatest of all time college coach with somebody who he has esteemed multiple times as being like his heartbeat and the reason and the motivation. And it's like to be in a room that they're discussing like, hey, babe, let me just throw this out here. And just to see who's
there is no
real.
discussion.
She got her arms
There
crossed.
is-
She's like, no, Nick. No.
I can
He
just
knows
hear a
better.
no
There's
immediately.
no, because if you didn't see his birthday video that she posted when he was leaned back in the recliner, she said, sit up, and he popped up within 0.5 seconds.
It was pretty funny.
Everybody at
She
Bama
said
knows.
move and he moved.
I don't
Terry
know
is
if
the true boss.
I don't know if purple and gold really fits Miss Terry's color wheel to begin with.
It doesn't fit anybody's. Sorry,
No.
I'm gonna say it.
What did he say to Reese Davis the other day? They were talking about if he gets aggravated watching other teams' mismanagement of the clock or whatever, and he says Miss Terry tells him, "It's not your problem. Don't worry about it."
That's true,
Right.
though. That's very true. No, but I think Texas, honestly, they would find any amount of money to keep Sark
Yeah.
because there's nobody to fill the role right now. There's
That's a
just
great point. Right.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah, not unless you guys want to give Hugh Freeze another try, or
Hey, listen,
so-
I think Drinky would be a great fit at Texas.
Eli Drinkwitz.
I
Yeah.
bet you do think that. I bet
Could be
you do
fun.
think that.
Could be
The
fun.
orange
He's already
would
talking
not
about
work
circling
for
the
Brian
wagons.
Kelly. The
Toughness
Brian Kelly's
Tuesdays.
undertone does not work with orange.
No.
Just it didn't work.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
well, Cody, I only have one more question, but before we get to that, I want to turn it over to Jesse or Matt if they have any other questions they'd like to ask you. Do you guys think of any?
I mean, mine would just be, I know we talked a little bit about A&M, but what do you think Texas has to do going into that game to not trip up and fall to A&M? Because A&M hasn't been fully tested yet. I mean, they've played some people, but we're waiting for them to play a juggernaut. And this is a big deal. It's in state. So they're probably going to be very hyped. They want to go into Austin. They want to make a big splash.
Yeah.
What does Texas have to do? They absolutely can't fumble this in order to beat the Aggies.
Well, let me tell you what Texas A&M has to do. They have to first score a touchdown, right? An offensive touchdown, if they want to beat Texas. Secondly, no, but all jokes aside, I think Texas would have to lean on the defense heavily. They had a little bit of a, they were leaking a little bit versus Pavia in the fourth quarter. And I think that was more of a scheme thing. I think that they kind of they laid off of the coverage pressing. They kind of backed up a little bit. There's a bend but don't break attitude. I can't stand when coaches do that, by the way. I think that you do.
Me too.
You continuously do what got you to 34-10 so that you can put that game at 41-16 or 17 or what. You don't change. But I think that if it comes down to beating A&M, it's going to be Texas is going to have to put pressure and make Marcel Reed uncomfortable all night long. They're going to have to just make him make very quick decisions, ill-advised throws, stick to a one read and get the ball out because there's pressure in his face. Like they're going to have to make his life miserable because I don't see A&M having a big successful run game against Texas. I think Texas is going to sell out on Marcel Reed is going to have to beat us. And so far, he's shown a vast improvement of being a throwing quarterback. But I'd like to see how he is when he's got Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill on the edges coming with Ethan. I mean, the NASCAR package that Texas runs with Ethan Burke, Colin Simmons, and Anthony Hill coming off the edges and through the middle is just nasty and it's unfair. So I'd love to see Marcel Reed be under pressure and under duress the entire game to see how he responds to that. And I think that it would take Texas being extremely efficient offensively. I don't need to see ours throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't need to see that. What I need to see is high completion percentages. I need to see third down conversions and just not turning the ball over. If you play efficient, if you play even just somewhat complementary to the defense, Texas is going to be one of the hardest teams to beat in the nation. They are. They're just way too talented, and their defense is just finely tuned. And don't don't over don't miss or overlook the fact that Texas's scheme has been the same for the past five. I mean, Kwiatkowski, Sark, coaching staff, they haven't changed a thing. There's hardly been any turnover. So the cohesion of the offense and the defense, if those will just get to being, to the point where it's like, okay, Texas's offense is playing at least efficient football. We know what the defense brings, and if the defense just brings pressure against Marcel Reed and there's no turnovers on offense, I think Texas has a great chance to just take care of A&M. And there's something to be said. And honestly, Matt, you can probably speak to this. Even when Tennessee had really talented teams, there was just this era of Florida having an advantage.
They have an advantage every time we play them.
That's what I'm saying. It's just a weird thing, right? It's just
Yeah.
it makes no sense to you. It's like why can we not get over the hump?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's where A&M has lived, at least in my adulthood. And I know we took a big gap, but it's like we kind of just picked up where we left off. A&M just has this innate ability to just not beat Texas. And they may have the talent to beat Texas this year. I just think that if Texas comes out and plays the game that they can play, especially at home, being, a holiday weekend at night versus your rival, all chips, in the middle of the table, let's get this on. I think it's going to be a mountain for Texas A&M to climb to beat Texas.
Yeah, I can identify with that. I would say the same thing is true for Georgia with Alabama, as much as I hate to say that. But and that's no cut on Alabama. If Georgia has the more talented team, they're still going to struggle. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing for sure.
Did you guys have any others? All right, so from one game prediction to another, how are you feeling going into the Georgia game this weekend? Do you have any gut feelings about the matchup? And one of the reasons why I ask, other than just trying to get your opinion, is you're pretty dead on in your prediction of the SEC championship last year, like scary dead on. So do you have a prediction for this one?
Man, if I'm going with my head rather than my heart, right? It was a really cool feeling because like my head and my heart were aligned last year. This year, it's like I want Texas to just do what I think Texas can do. I'll say this weekend, until Texas proves that they can beat Georgia, I'm not picking against Georgia when they play Texas. I would say this is going to be a battle. I think that I hate the word sloppy with low scoring. I think that's really good football. I think when it's really good football, the defense is controlling the opposing offense. That's what football should be, right? And so those low scores are indicative of just well-coached defenses. Special teams are on point. You're punting the ball deeper. You're punting the ball at certain angles where there's no long punt returns, which please, please, Wes, please, y'all punt the ball to Ryan Niblett. Please do that. Let's just let that happen.
That guy's
But
been lights up.
yeah, but I think ultimately I would say that I really think that Georgia is just going to find a way. And I was really impressed with what Georgia did with Mississippi State last week. It was just like, okay, their offense has been on point. If their defense really starts picking it up, that's a scary, scary team that's going to be there at the end of the season. So I would say we're going to see somewhere between a 24-20 score. I think it's going to be lower. I think that if there's a couple of big special teams plays or a pick six or a scoop and score, you could maybe get to upper 20. I think the first team to 30 is absolutely winning, but I really think the first team to 20 is going to win this game. And I think Georgia takes it 24-20.
Gotcha. Well, I hope you're right, but I do agree it's going to be, I think it's going to be close and hard fought for sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think that, there's a lot of fans that I've talked to on X that are making the trip to Athens. I think that, this is what we wanted. We wanted to see these just, juggernaut, just massive competitions versus, blue bloods. And, we're seeing that with, how Georgia came to Texas last year. Now it's Texas coming to Athens and playing between the hedges. And at this time of the year where, it's kind of funny how this game, like, all of a sudden means something, because about a month ago, this was looking like this is kind of inconsequential, but now that Texas is kind of taking care of business, gone on a streak, put themselves back into the conversation, we're really getting the matchup that we all want to see. And I'm really excited to see Alabama and Oklahoma this weekend too. I think that's going to be a crucial matchup. And I selfishly want Alabama to kick the what out of Oklahoma.
You and me both after last year.
Yeah.
So, Cody, is Tennessee, New Mexico State not getting any love? What the heck, man? What the heck? I thought we were bros.
That is a riveting matchup.
Let me say this, Matt. If I told you that Tennessee's going to struggle with a team called the Aggies, it's not A&M.
Oh, stop! You don't put that voodoo in the ether. All right, after the last couple weeks and after getting a week off, I don't need that kind of negativity.
No, I think Tennessee's going to handle business fine. They're going to be fine, and I hope Tennessee. I hope they finish out the season 9-3. I really want them to take care of Florida. I want them to get over that, and I really hope to see Tennessee put Vandy back in their place. I like what Vandy's doing. I think it's good for college football. Pavia's a lightning rod. It's fun to talk about, but Vandy, you are not the flagship, program in the state of Tennessee, and the Volunteers need to remind them of that.
Nope. That road still runs through K-Town.
That's right.
All right. Well, that'll be an interesting one to watch for sure as well. So can't wait for that one. Cody, where can everybody find you on social media?
Still Cody. Cody C_OTF on Texas football. There's some really good things on Texas football. Bobby Burton does a great job with it. They've got some really, really wonderful personalities and important, pieces of that. Rod Babers, a former Longhorn himself, has joined the team. There's some really good insight and news coming out of On Texas football. There's always a good tailgate with On Texas football, whether it be a home or away. So if any Texas fans are interested, if they're going to Athens, there will be an OTF tailgate with probably Surly Horns, I think, is who they're going to team up with. And so, yeah, On Texas football, check it out. They're on X, YouTube, everything, Instagram, whatever platform you want. On Texas football is a great source of all media and news coming out for University of Texas.
Very cool. Well, Cody, thanks for coming back on the show. It was great to talk to you.
Guys, thanks for the opportunity. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and good luck to all of our teams except yours, Wes.
Hey, I'll accept that. I get it.
Guys, thanks again for the opportunity. It's good to see y'all.
Thanks, Cody.
Thanks, man.
Take care. Hook 'em.
Too. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. I always enjoy hearing from Cody. Always has some good things to say.
Where was his hat?
I know.
I know.
There was no hat.
I told him I didn't even recognize him at first, but like I said, you don't have to be on brand every time, so it's okay. So, all All right, so let's move to our predictions for week 12.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right, so our first game of this upcoming weekend is South Carolina 3-6, 1-6 in the SEC at Texas A&M, 9-0, 6-0 in the SEC. That's noon on ESPN. Matt, what is your prediction here?
Uh, Beamer ball, good enough? Question mark? Nah. I'm gonna take Texas A&M in this one. I think Texas A&M wins pretty handily, 38-14.
Yeah, that's a good pick. A&M a heavy favorite in this one at home, of course, so I don't disagree. A&M 31-13 is what I'm going with. Jesse?
Aggies are going to roll through the Gamecocks. I don't care if it's night or noon at Kyle Field. This one's not going to be very interesting. I'm picking the Aggies 34-17.
All right. Next is Arkansas, 2-7, 0-5 in the SEC at LSU, 5-4, 2-4 in the SEC. That's 12:45 on SEC Network. Matt, what you got here?
Uh, Over under on Arkansas fumbles. I'm saying over two.
Yeah, I take
Over
that.
two.
I think that's a good,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I think that this is two teams on weirdly similar trajectories right now. Even
Which
though
is
Arkansas
weird to
has,
even
yeah,
say.
very weird.
Yeah,
Even though Arkansas has three less wins than
it
LSU
doesn't
does,
matter.
but man, LSU did not look good last week, offensively nor defensively. So give me LSU here, but make it close, 17-10 LSU.
Yeah, I'd love to pick Arkansas here, but even though LSU's got a lot of uncertainty right now, I think I got to go with them at home here as well. I'm going LSU 24-20. Jesse?
This one could have been a toss-up. If it were in Fayetteville, I'd have picked Arkansas, but the fact that we are in Death Valley, I'm going to pick LSU. It, this is the wolf game of the week, I think, but I'm going LSU 24-21.
All right, next is Tennessee Tech, the Golden Eagles at 10-0,
Ooh.
at Kentucky 4-5, 1:30 on SEC Network. Plus, Matt, what's your prediction?
Hold on, undefeated Tennessee Tech. They're
Oh
10
yeah, I
and 0
said
right
10 and
now.
0. Yeah.
Did you? Okay, you
Yeah.
didn't use the word undefeated. That's important. Listen, I just looked this up just for kicks and giggles. The line on this game is. You guys want to guess what the line is?
Is there even one? I don't know.
Yes, there
8.5?
is.
Oh
There
wow.
is. Kentucky is favored by 22 and a half in this one.
Oh.
Whoa.
I want to know who's making that bet because I ain't taking
I'm
Kentucky up
not taking
22.
that.
Not that. No, 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 no. By the way,
I'll say they'll score 22 points.
get in price for this game is $13. By the way, so
Oh,
Nice.
family.
take the
Yeah.
kids. It'll
There
be a
you go.
great time. You know what? I'm gonna actually change my score. I was gonna say 30-14 UK. I'm gonna say 26-14 UK.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. Nah, I don't think they struggle as much as you're thinking there. Tennessee Tech finally gets a number in that L column. Give me Kentucky at home here. UK 35-7. Jesse, what do you got?
Think the Wildcats are feeling high and mighty after playing in the Delulu Bowl last weekend, and coming out on top. So I'm going to go with Kentucky in this one, 31-10.
All right. Next, Oklahoma 7-2, 3-2 in the SEC at Alabama, 8-1, 6-0 in the SEC. This is a potential revenge game for Alabama after last year. 3:30 on ABC. Matt, what you got?
Ooh, we were just talking about that run game that Bama does not have, and Oklahoma's defense is pretty solid. I'm gonna pick Oklahoma 26-23.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm
I
feeling
mean,
feisty. I feel it.
I
I
mean,
feel like Oklahoma's got their number here.
they won last year. I think a lot of people are writing off Oklahoma here, though. It's on the road. Oklahoma's had some struggles offensively lately. Mateer has been a little bit better lately, but still kind of a shadow of his former self earlier in the season, where he was lighting it up left and right. Bama's on a hot streak right now as well. That's another factor. But I think this is going to be a close one. I think the score will be relatively low. And I wanted to pick Oklahoma, but I think I got to go with Bama here. I'm going to go Bama 24-17. Jesse, what you got?
Yeah, I'm a little triggered by this game. I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable. I am praying that we are just running the ball all week. Everybody practice running the ball. Because we've got to put together a complete offense. We cannot be one dimensional because Oklahoma's defense will capitalize on that and we will get embarrassed at home. So I'm praying that the Tide puts together a complete game and that our offense steps up and defense does what they're supposed to do. I'm going Tide 27-17.
By the
All
way,
right.
line on that game is Bama by 6.5. So it's tight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a close one. All right, next is New Mexico State 3-6 at Tennessee 6-3, 4:15 on SEC Network. Matt, what you got for your Vols here?
Yeah, I think Tennessee's had a week to prepare, week off, get a chance to kind of lick their wounds after that Oklahoma game. So I think Tennessee wins this thing pretty handily, 42-14.
Yeah, this is an expected blowout. I'm going with Tennessee at home here against a lesser opponent. Tennessee 48-10. Jesse, what you got?
This is a great game after you're coming off of a bye to ease you back into it. So I'm going to go the Vols on this one, 38-10.
All right, next is Florida 3-6, 2-4 in the SEC at Ole Miss 9-1, 5-1 in the SEC. That's 7 p.m. on ESPN. Matt, what you got for this one?
How messed up would it be if Florida found a way to win this ball game?
Stop it.
How messed up would that be?
It would be pretty messed up.
That being said, I don't think it's going to happen. We've been espousing the danger zone that Florida currently finds itself in right now with just where that program is and where it's heading, and it's just not a pleasant picture all around. So I have a weird score for this. I think a safety shows up in this game. I think Ole Miss wins this thing 39-10.
Yeah. Look, Florida looked horrible on the road last week. This is another one on the road, and it's against a really good team this time. I'm going to go Ole Miss here, 35-17. Jesse, what you got?
Yeah, I think this one is just it's not going to be exciting if you're a Florida fan. So go ahead and make those dinner reservations, friends. I'm going to pick the Rebels in this one, 41-6.
All right, next is Texas, 7-2, 4-1 in the SEC at Georgia, 8-1, 6-1 in the SEC. That's 7:30 on ABC. Matt, what is your prediction for Texas at Georgia?
Ooh, Georgia didn't have any trouble last week against Mississippi State. I think they're going to come into this one with a little bit of a swelled head. A little bit. I think it could be a little bit of a trap, but I think Georgia's going to find a way to win this thing. I think the score is low, though. 21-17 Georgia.
All right, so I'm glad this one's in Athens. I'll say that. Texas has been much maligned this season, but they've still been able to pull out a lot of victories and still find themselves in the playoff hunt with lots to play for, of course. So I don't know why, but I just think George will be able to get to Arch and rattle him a little bit in this one. The offense will have their work cut out for them against the Texas defense that's been pretty good most of this season. But I like what I saw last week, and I hope Georgia comes out with the same intensity this week. So, and they ought to against an opponent like this, of course. So, I'm going with Georgia here, 28-21. Jesse?
This one, I think Georgia might start a little bit slow. I think Texas is going to come in there guns a-blazing, but I think once we get into the second half, UGA is going to start to take care of business. I do think this is going to be a close one. I'm excited to watch it, but I am going to pick the dogs in this one, 31-27.
All right, we'll see what happens. Should be a good matchup. And then finally, we have Mississippi State 5-5, 1-5 in the SEC at Missouri, 6-3, 2-3 in the SEC. That's 7:45 on SEC Network. Matt, what you got?
Such a late kickoff for a game on the basically what's on the West Coast. It's a SEC after dark game. Yeah, I like Missouri here. I don't really foresee that Mississippi State's going to be too much competition. Maybe a late score makes it look closer than it is, but I think Mizzou rolls here 28-10.
Yeah, this is might be the battle of backup quarterbacks as Blake Shapen was cleared to return against Georgia, but would have been limited. We might see Camario Taylor from Mississippi State which I like him as well, even against a good defense like the one Mizzou has. And then, of course, we're going to have Pribula's, out for, I don't really know how long. I think they said he might be back. Optimistically, he might be back for like a bowl game. But anyways, point being, I think I'm going to go with Mississippi State here in the slight upset, 24-21. Jesse, what you got?
Yeah, I think if we were playing in Starkville, I might buy that prediction. These teams are oddly kind of maybe evenly-ish matched.
Ooh,
This
there's a
week.
lot of Mizzou fans that are upset with you about
This
saying that.
week,
Ooh.
calm down, everybody.
Ooh.
Calm down.
It's Hot Take Wednesday or
I'll
something.
take Wednesday, but Mizzou's 6-3 and Miss State is 5-5. So like everybody calm down. But this week I think they're closer than they usually are. I am going to pick Mizzou in this one, 28-14.
All right. Well, that does it for our upcoming games, and that does it for this episode. Appreciate everyone listening to us. If you would like to email us, do so at pigskinsandpageantry@gmail.com. We are at Pigskins and Pageantry on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And don't forget, we are at PPSCC Podcast on X. And we are available
Twitter.
to download on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn Radio, most podcasting apps for iPhone, Android, and other operating systems. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment, subscribe, and give us those 5 stars. We'd love that and increase our chances of having conversations with wonderful people like yourselves. So, big games this weekend. And until next time, this is Wes. Go Dogs.
Nobody wants to see a sequel of last year, so let's get the run game going. Roll Tide.
Just beat New Mexico State, guys. That's all I'm asking. Beat them like they owe you money. They're named the Aggies. Their mascot's a guy with a mustache. Just get it done.